Carlo? Carlo?
Oh, hi, Miss.
I might find it hard to see the questions on chat.
Okay. I'll
Can
help
you
you.
just read it?
Yes, of course. Yes,
Okay.
I'll do that for you, Miss.
Okay, thanks.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. Mita, what time are we going to start? We can't hear you, Mita. And unmute your mic.
I asked Leah to start. It's okay to start.
Okay, we'll just
Give a,
wait for your instructions.
yeah, we're okay.
Carlo,
Yes, hi, Miss.
konti yung choices for the background, Pero yung iyo, iba.
No, Miss. That's a photo.
Ha?
A photo. That's
Di ko marinig.
it's a picture, Miss. It's not one of
Picture yung iyo.
the options in the Zoom.
Wala ko magandang picture eh. Is your son here or in Singapore?
Here.
Sa Makati.
Yes, that's right. Mita?
Yes. Okay. Good morning. Hello, I'm Mita Angela M. Officer in charge of Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary, to tell you a story. The Maryknoll Sisters, a religious missionary congregation founded in the United States in 1912, decided to come to the Philippines in 1926. From Malabon, where they established the Catholic Teachers Normal School and St. James Academy, the first Maryknoll co-ed elementary and high school in the country, where the sisters managed a hospital and a dorm. In 1928, they came to Baguio to build a convent, guest and retreat house. A Syrian mother of three requested the sisters to tutor her children, and Maryknoll Convent School was born in 1933 with American-style education, 20 international and Filipino co-ed students in a class. In 1970, it was named Mauritian School, with the last batch of grade 6 graduating in 1999, having a 66-year existence. The 1990 earthquake destroyed the convent, but the school building was intact. Focus was on the environment. The sisters established the Maryknoll Sisters Center of Justice, Peace, and Integrity of Creation in 1999 and renamed this Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary in 2013. We invite you back to our former Maryknoll Convent School Grade 5 classroom, which houses our Green Gallery, sponsored by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. It features God our Creator, the grandeur of creation, man's desecration of nature, the cosmic journey of the universe with 14 stations, the Earth House, Pope Francis Laudate Si message in 2015, which together with the United Nations Declaration of 15 Sustainable Developmental Goals with 193 countries and the Paris Agreement to combat climate change with 197 nations, remind us to take care of the earth, our common home. We welcome you to Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary, a gem that lies along Marcos Highway and Campo Shocco in Baguio City, Philippines. It serves as a gentle reminder of a tenderly loving creator. It is unique, natural, a sanctuary for mind and body as envisioned by its founders, the Maryknoll Sisters. We have, during this season of creation, we have collaborated with Green Convergence, the Miriam College Environmental Studies Institute, MISMO, the CMO, and let Krishna Kiambao lead us into prayer.
we gather today in this webinar to raise your purpose. Before our speaking first, Dr. Angela Susie in residence. Focus our hearts and guide our intentions to reflect your will in our lives today. Help us be more understanding and more open-minded. As the event of this day continue to unfold, we seek your clarity and your peace. May all glory for our achievements go out to you today and always. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Can I help?
Yes.
Okay, so I think at this point we need to introduce the person who will deliver the opening remarks. He is the director of the Miriam Identity, Spirituality, and Mission Office of Miriam College. He is also a member of the Board of Trustees of APNIB UNESCO Philippines. I think Sir Ato will give us the meaning of APNIB. It's quite long. So let's welcome Sir Ato to give the opening remarks.
Thank you, Sir Carlo. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you clearly, sir.
Okay, so APNIB is Asia Pacific Network for International Education and Values Education.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. A pleasant morning to everyone. I am truly grateful for the honor and privilege to render once again the opening or welcome remarks for our webinar this morning. For those who attended our webinar last Monday, where I was also asked to give the welcome remarks, I mentioned that the series of webinars we are conducting is in the light of celebrating the season of creation. Again, for those who are not familiar, the season of creation is a call for us to pray and renew our commitment to care for creation. The season of creation starts on September 1 and ends on October 4. For Catholics, this is an annual celebration which started since 2015. However, as an ecumenical celebration, this event actually started among the World Orthodox Christian community on September 1, 1989, as the Day of Prayer for the Protection of the Environment, with the leadership of Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew, who is affectionately known as the Green Patriarch. September 1 is also the beginning of Orthodox liturgical year. Pope Francis, in an ecumenical gesture of global significance, announced in August 2015 that the Roman Catholic Church will also recognize September 1 as the World Day of Prayer for the Care of Creation. The season of creation officially ends on October 4. Why October 4? Because it's the day that Catholics and other churches commemorate the feast of Saint Francis of Assisi, the patron saint of ecology. The theme for this year's celebration of the season of creation is Jubilee for the Earth, New Rhythms, New Hope. For our webinar this morning, we will be listening to one of the champions of promoting environmental justice, one who will share her wisdom and knowledge on how these new rhythms and new hope will be further given flesh through our webinar's theme, State of Nature Assessment and Journey to Sustainability. Let us extend our grateful and sincere appreciation to the Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary for sponsoring this webinar in partnership with Green Convergence, the Miriam College Environmental Studies Institute, Campus Ministry Office of the Higher Education Unit of Miriam, and the Miriam Identity, Spirituality, and Mission Office, or MISMO. Such collaboration and partnerships illustrate the notion that our work for social transformation, for social justice, for environmental or ecological justice will not materialize without groups of people committed to achieving such goal. In the words of Margaret Mead, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed people can change the world. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. So, my dear participants from different groups, institutions, organizations, and religious congregations from all over the Philippines to as far as overseas, our dear Maryknoll sisters in New York, and of course here in the Philippines, on behalf of the organizers, I welcome and thank you for being part of this event. May this webinar continue to inspire us to commit ourselves even more as caretakers of God's creation. Thank you, welcome, and once again, a wonderful morning to all.
Mita, hi Mita, you're supposed to be the MC. I can help you if you want. Well, thank you for that, Sir Ato. Thank you for giving us the background of the celebration this month. Happy season of creation for all of us here. Ita, can I continue now? Okay, so to introduce our guest speaker, may I call on the president of Zero Waste Baguio and an alumna of the Maryknoll School in Baguio. Let's welcome Maria Victoria Tenefrancia.
Good morning, everyone. One of the ecological principles that we human beings have to be constantly reminded of is that nature is beautiful and we are all stewards of God's creation. We are supposed to turn souls of believers who commune and care for our nature. One planet, our common home. We therefore have an important role to play in the protection of and in respecting Mother Nature.
Leah, can we improve?
Our speaker for today is one such lady of a steward of our common home. She was blessed and fortunate enough to be provided with a good and solid educational foundation as a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the College of the of which she graduated as magna cum laude, and Master of Science in Chemistry from the
Miss
She
B.
used her knowledge and
You read the action.
college for Maryknoll. And then later on, as the vice president of academics and executive director of environmental studies institute, in her desire to further share and utilize her knowledge
Yeah,
for the planet,
these
she became
for request Miss Victoria to do it live. Hi, Miss. Can I call you Miss Vicky? Uh, please go ahead.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Is
morning.
this clear?
Yes, we can
All
hear
right.
you.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. One of the ecological principles that we human beings have to be constantly reminded of is that nature is beautiful and we are all stewards of God's creation. We are supposed to be concerned souls of the universe. We commune and care for our nature, one planet, our common home. As such, each have each of us have an important role to play in the protection of and in respecting Mother Nature. Our speaker for today is one such epitome of our common home, a steward of our common home. She was blessed and fortunate enough to have been provided with a good and solid educational foundation as a graduate of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry from the College of the Holy Spirit, of which she graduated as magna cum laude. Then of Master of Science in Chemistry from the Marquette University, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and subsequently as a Doctor of Philosophy on Environmental Science at the University of the Philippines in Diliman. Indeed, she used her knowledge and skills as she embarked in the academe as faculty, department head, and college dean of the Miriam College, formerly Maryknoll, and then later on as the Vice President for Academics and Executive Director of the Environmental Studies Institute. In her desire to fully share and utilize her knowledge for the betterment of our planet, she became and is still active in the environmental movement. Among positions she has held was Vice President of Haribon Foundation and President of the Environmental Education Network of the Philippines, which is now the Philippine Network of Educators for the Environment. She now serves as President of the coalition Green Convergence for safe food, healthy environment, and sustainable economy, also as board member of Consumer Rights for Safe Food, and as the board member of the College of the Holy Spirit Alumni Foundation. Among her notable regular contributions are the annual conduct of the State of the Nature Address, more popularly known as the Green Sauna, the Philippine Environment Summit, and the monthly Kamayan para sa Kalikasan Forum. She is very passionate, very vocal, and at the helm of advocacies towards social and economic upliftment while preserving our life supporting water, air, and land for generations to come. These are the very pillars of sustainable development. She uses her knowledge, network, and resources to pursue her vision for a better environment because of her five grandchildren, who she says deserve a planet as beautiful as that which the Lord has given us. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please present our speaker for today, a true blue steward of God's creation, Dr. Angelina Nina Pineda Galang.
Thank you, Becky, for that generous introduction. Good day, everyone, in whatever time zone you are in the planet. Thank you, Ato, Carlo, Mita, and everyone who had a hand in organizing this forum. I would like to thank the Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary for inviting me to speak today. MES and the Baguio community has become a hub for environmental advocacy, and I'm glad to be a part of it. My special greetings to our Maryknoll sisters friends. Actually, my work here in the environment started in Miriam College. As progressive as the Maryknoll sisters are, they were already into this issue in the 1970s. And that is why, early 70s. And that is why I got in, because I was asked to speak, to give a module on pollution to the seniors. Since environmental awareness was still in its infancy at that time, I had to research on it. And well, as you know, anyone who gets into this area gets to care deeply about what is happening. And since then, I've been continuing, and here we are, you and I, today. When we talk of the environment, we usually talk of it in dire terms. And well, we might, because the environment is really in dire straits. So much is wrong with our planet, including this pandemic, with its roots in our relationship to nature. But I want to tackle this, I want in this seminar to speak on on a perspective which has been my mission lately. And that is to present the Philippines as a very rich, beautiful country, rich in natural resources that can support all the needs of its population and even beyond our basic needs. I present what we have done to our blessings, with our blessings, God's creation, and suggest what can be done for the future as I go along for sustainability. But since I was asked to give state of nature assessment, I will do that also in the latter part of my talk. Is that clear now?
Yes, Miss, it is.
Okay. As you all know, our national hero, Jose Rizal, called our country the Pearl of the Orient Seas. Really, strings of pearls because of our islands. But at this point, might we be better known as the goose that laid the golden egg? I don't know about the younger people here in the audience, but people of my generation, around my generation, know this fable. Let me just review it. There was this family which had a goose that laid a golden egg every day. This golden egg was precious, but it was enough to give them their basic needs for the day. So every day they were comfortable, one egg a day, they would sell it and buy what they needed. But one day, the teenage son, I don't know why it is always a son, which is the contrabida. One day, the teenage son said to himself, why don't we just get all the golden eggs and sell and invest the money so that our wealth will increase many, many times? So he slit open the tummy of the goose. And of course, what does he find? Just one egg. And of course, they did not anymore get the benefit of one golden egg a day. Why do I compare that with our country? Our country has enough to give everyone her basic needs every day. But because some people, a few people compared to our population, decided to have it all, cut up our natural resources, and so it and therefore diminished the ability of our environment to care for our nation. So that is the framework or the vision, the picture that might be in our minds now. Okay, let me just remind everyone, you probably know all of these, but just to emphasize that God has given the Philippines so many blessings. And I would like to point to the particular characteristics that really give our country tremendous wealth in life terms, not in money terms, maybe for some people, but to give us life, good, satisfying life. And these are, we are archipelagic, we are mountainous, we are volcanic, we are tropical. Some planners might say, oh, it's so hard to govern a country or manage a country which is archipelagic. The islands are so far from each other. It's hard to go from one place to another because of the volcanoes. We have to flatten lands. It's volcanic. We always get these disasters. But actually, they are what give us many blessings. Okay, so if you are familiar, I'm sure, with our map, looks like a dinosaur. You see that. Okay, let's go to being mountainous. You see all those green chains. In every island, we have mountain chain. These mountains protect us from strong winds. Winds coming from the east will protect the western part, and winds coming from the west will protect the eastern part. The very shape of the mountains is important for this. The shape also gives us different forest ecosystems and different ecosystems. From the base of the mountains to the top, we have different conditions of temperature, precipitation, soil types, etc. And so these different sets of conditions give us different types of plants and animals, and we have great biodiversity because of that. Mountains also give us rivers. Where two mountains meet, the lowest part will give us a river. And we know what benefits we get from rivers. We are archipelagic. Okay, any school child knows that we have 7,100 islands. Now even more because of our discovery of the Benham rice. And so, again, each island is unique in its biodiversity. Also, each island has a shoreline, a coastal area. And we know that coastal areas are the richest in the world. This is because the minerals coming from land, will end up in the coast because the coast is the lowest point in any land mass. So minerals and organic matter all flow down to the coast. From the ocean, minerals and organic matter also flow in through waves. So again, the coastal areas are very, very rich in aquatic life. There should be no Filipino going hungry because of this characteristic of ours. Okay, you know what ecosystems are? Systems which have a community of plants and animals all interacting to give each other continued existence and life. The waste of one species gets to be the food of another species, and we have our food chains and our food webs. And the ecosystems that are so precious to us are the forests, mangroves, seagrasses, coral reefs, and wetlands. Isn't this beautiful? It is a part of the Cordillera, which is pristine. Imagine all those trees harboring in among its foliage all types of insects, butterflies, birds, flowers, orchids, etc., 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 from the bottom to the top. Imagine those trees, those leaves also absorbing the carbon dioxide, which gives us global climate change and global warming. And there's the river, which is formed by two mountains. This is the mangroves, a part of a sample of mangroves. These mangroves also protect the land from strong storm surges and strong typhoon winds. These trees also absorb the erosion coming from land so that it doesn't go to the to muddy the shoreline, the waters in the at the boundary. Again, this ecosystem harbors a community of plants and animals which give each other life. Coral reefs, which harbors beautiful species in colors, in shapes, in sizes. In all those nooks and crannies, we have wonderful variety of species. And I always tell my audience when I speak about this, if you haven't gone snorkeling, please, this is one thing you should do before you die. Because you will just marvel at the beauty of God's creation. Just as I was hooked on ecology by my snorkeling experiences in Mindoro, which has one of the highest, most beautiful coral assemblages in the world, according to a German geographer. We have seagrasses. Not many people know that these lowly looking grasses are also very important. So these three coastal ecosystems, mangroves, corals, and seagrasses, stabilize the, the, the ocean floor and the coastal land. They are the spawning areas, the feeding areas, the daycare, the hospital, the school of aquatic life, fishes, crustaceans, mollusks. And you can imagine the grand symphony of life occurring there. Well, just a few samples of our biodiversity, which you are probably familiar with. What is that? Mita, do you know what that is? Okay. Carlo, kunyari klase ito.
Oh, it's a graded recitation.
Okay. So the sea turtle, which is found in the Philippines. Who is this? Nemo, the
The clownfish.
clownfish.
The clownfish.
Everybody is familiar with because of a movie. This is again endemic to the Philippines. Of course, everybody knows this. The Philippine eagle, one of the grandest eagles in the world, biggest, one of the biggest, and one of the smallest monkeys, which is really not a monkey, the shear. This is the waling-waling, which was very familiar in our time, and brides used to use this for their bouquets, but seems to be threatened now. This is, not many people notice this, but actually this is one of our endemic trees, the bagras, or the rainbow tree, and you can see why. And would you believe we have a couple, just outside of the Child Study Center of Miriam College. But we never noticed it before until we got interested in native trees. So these are just some samples of our great biodiversity. But if you look at the numbers, we have 52,177 described species. Described pa lang yan. Many have not yet been studied. We have 13,000 plant species, and 33% of them are endemic. Endemic meaning found only in the Philippines. Pinoy. We have 1,000 orchid species, 70% endemic. And yet now we import orchids from Thailand. We have 558 species of birds. We're supposed to have the highest array of birds in Asia. As far as aquatic life is concerned, we have, okay, I'll just go through this fast. 400 species of hard coral, 41 species of mangroves, 100 species of seaweeds, and 18 of sea grasses. We have 5 of the 8 known marine turtles in the world and the largest number of giant clams. Again, if you want to see giant clams, there is a transplantation area in Pangasinan in 100 Islands, and you can snorkel and see all the giant clams transplanted there or grown there. Marine turtles can live up to 100 or 200 years. And so what we have might be really historical treasures. The Philippines is a top exporter of cultivated seaweed. It's used in food preparations, in medicines, etc. We are a leader in fish production, and we are a leader in aquarium fish export. Isn't this beautiful? A multi waterfall. I think one of my students took this in later. And this is my class when I had a field trip in Cebu. And well, we just enjoyed the rushing water while we talked about species and ecosystems, etc. But all of a sudden, one of my students said, "You know, miss, here I know there is a God." He was just so emotionally affected by the beauty and the experience. It was a spiritual, religious experience. And so our conversation became theological and philosophical. And so this is the profile of our country: forests of all kinds, rivers, agricultural lands in the plains, coastal areas and coastal ecosystems, and then the marine ecosystem, which we have a lot of because we have a big territorial sea and a big exclusive economic zone if only we protected them. Okay, we are volcanic. You might wonder why we say this is a blessing. Well, lava flows replenish the earth. And also we have geothermal sites where we can get geothermal energy. We have beautiful soil. I used to be told in my grade school that anything you stick on the ground will bear fruit. I had a friend who stuck champuy seed after she had eaten the champuy, and it grew. Somehow the plant grew. Anyway, so we are tropical, so we have rains. We have sun all year round. Because we are tropical also, and because of these rains, the erosion is high. But we have the forest trees to hold the soil if we only kept the trees. We have volcanic lava flows to replenish the soil. So if you think about it, this creation is really wonderful. God put all these elements together, and it is a dynamic system, a dynamic flow of life. Beyond our basic needs, I wanted to say, we have what we need for modern life. We need fuel, we need energy, and look at our energy, renewable energy potential. Just from wind alone, we have 70,000 megawatts. What does this mean? Right now, our base load, what we use for our electricity in our country, is around 15,000 megawatts. So we can develop 4 times more than what we have at present, and just the wind energy can fuel it all. We have geothermal potential because we are volcanic. We are second only to the US in our production, and we have tapped only 1/4. So again, this can contribute to further development. As to solar, well, we are a tropical country, and so we can all have solar rooftops. Even in our adopted community in Tanay, and Carlo can tell you this, they already have installed, some of them, solar panels in the roofs. Our biodiversity can have commercial value. Remember that traditionally, modern medicines came from plants before synthetic medicines from petroleum were synthesized. Costa Rica is a country which maximizes its biodiversity by allowing commercial farms to produce medicines from their unique plants and animals. We can do the same. But how have we appreciated these blessings? Have we? Let's look at what has happened through the years, through the decades, especially with our ecosystems. Forest destruction has been going on from 50% forest in the before the 50s, and now to about 18%. It's according to the DNR, it's been improving in the last decade. Okay, but you look at how painfully ugly the picture is on the right compared to the left. Again, please go to our forests and enjoy them before they are completely destroyed. But I hope we are wise enough now to protect them. Of course, forest destruction is due to mining, illegal logging. Mining, besides taking out the trees, destroy the shape of our mountains. They flatten our mountains and decrease the ability of our mountains to shelter us from strong typhoon winds. We have subdivisions and commercial developments already up in the mountains for the rich to enjoy, but also we have landless people from the lowlands migrating up, where they can at least eke out a living by planting their sustenance. Only 5% of coral reefs are in excellent condition. You see how painfully ugly again that is on the right and how beautiful it is on the left. Sorry about that Philippine word. This is a coral island off Palawan, where they say Pacquiao built a resort. So the function of the coral reefs of harboring species has been greatly diminished. Only 6% of our Philippine mangroves are in excellent condition. They have been cut down, cleared to make resorts, but resort owners always find that really they made the area more ugly. They made the area ugly. Of our Philippine seagrass beds, 1/2 has been destroyed or lost. Mining, of course, has its effects even in the lowlands because the mine tailings, the toxic waters flow down with the rivers down to the lowlands and affect our agricultural land. It had been computed that while in 2003, we had fish available for every Filipino in the amount of 28.5 kilograms per year, in 2010, it was down to 10 kilograms per year. And any housewife can tell you how much more expensive fish is. And this is a crying matter really. Our export of aquarium fish used to be 75 to 80% of global trade. It is now down to 45. You know, this could be a sustainable industry because fish multiply fast. When you go to our malls, or even those who go abroad to the zoos where there are aquaria, there are many beautiful multicolored fish. And sometimes we are wont to say, wow, ang ganda. Siguro imported. Or when we are in other countries, we might say, wow, ang ganda. Mabuti pa sila. Maganda ang fish. But we might not realize it. But many of those came from the Philippines. But now it is down to this amount because of cyanide fishing, dynamite fishing, the loss of our coastal ecosystems. And modern agriculture has destroyed our beautiful soil because modern agriculture uses chemical pesticides which kill the friendly insects and chemical fertilizers which make acidic and infertile our soils. And now genetically modified organisms, specifically corn, has been planted in some of our provinces, which use more of these chemicals. And of course, GMOs themselves are not healthy if not toxic. You have heard of black sand mining. We have exported our country literally from seashores to agricultural areas and others. We have been exporting soil, bare soil, where other countries can extract nickel and other minerals from the soil. So that is what has been happening to our natural resources. Have we totally killed the goose? Are we to despair? Okay, this is something that we have to keep in mind. And from now on, I will give you a mix of good and bad news. We have beautiful laws on the environment. In their enlightened moments, our legislators have actually given us a whole compendium of laws which protect our natural resources. We have the National Integrated Protected Area System, which gives budget to our precious ecosystems. We have the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act, which protect the ancestral domain of IPs because they're the ones who have taken care of our forests and even coastal ecosystems. We have the Clean Air Act. We have the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act. We have the Clean Water Act, Renewable Energy Act, Organic Agricultural Act, and the Environmental Education Act. So all bases are covered. These laws protect our environment. But, well, we can have a whole semester talking about why our environment is how it is. We also have executive orders. In 2011, we had the banning of logging in primary and residual forests. We had the National Greening Program, which was to plant 2.5 billion trees in 1.5 million hectares. And we have many LGUs which are environment oriented. Mindoro, Bohol, Samar, Puerto Princesa, South Cotabato, which the last has banned open pit mining. So what about the last 12 months, which is the subject of a green sauna? Unfortunately, the DNR has relaxed its own rules on tree cutting, and for the sake of build infrastructure. Well, this is close to your heart. For the Villar residences, so many trees have been cut. And I know you're advocating about tree cutting in Baguio, and Baguio is a city that many of us love. We wish it would return to its former beautiful environment. There, the threat to the forests in Sierra Madre and Tanay, uh, to build a Kaliwa Dam and other dams, again, is looming in the horizon. And of course, we are advocating against this. There's a Stop Kaliwa Dam network. The mines that had been closed by the former Secretary Gino Lopez for violations have been given the green light in the past few months. There are 40 operating metallic mines. 5 were suspended and 21 canceled, but are all operating at present. Civil society and defenders have been observing quarantine, but the government and mining companies are working business as usual, and so permits are being granted and mine activities are continuing. These are data from Alianza Tigil Mina, which has been monitoring this issue. Illegal ore transport of nickel is being done by Chinese vessels in Hon Island's eastern Samar. Illegal entry of mining equipment by Chinese in the rice lands in Leyte. And illegal construction activities inside a forest and an ancestral domain in Brooks Point, Palawan, has been going on, although the miner has an expired mining contract. In South Cotabato, the mine and open pit mining has been given a 12-year extension. South Cotabato has banned open pit mining. And these Tampakan mines really supposed to be the richest in gold and copper, but is also the biggest threat to the area. This is the good news. Agriculture grew, albeit by 1.1%, but it is the only sector. And what the pandemic has done is that many homes have started to grow food in their backyard. Have you? Unfortunately, in Bohol, which has moratorium on GMOs, there is pressure from the provincial government and the agricultural regional office to lift the ban. Well, this is Boracay. You can say it's good news, although the how it was done might be controversial, but we can see what political will can do, but it should be targeting the right way. But anyway, that's the beautiful Boracay Beach. But the same political will also quarried sand, dolomite from Cebu, and which is now in Manila Bay. For energy, we have good news. Business interest in renewable energy projects is high. I think because the pandemic has caused renewable energy to be in the minds of people, and the costs of renewable energy has gone down. Solar panels have gone down in cost. So you people should think of investigating whether you can have one. The pandemic, oh, okay, this is what I said, it has given impetus to renewable energy. Ayala, for one, has said that it will shift away from coal and go to renewable energy. The Lopez Group is is big on geothermal, and they have vowed never to go to coal. That's good news for us because think about it. We have sun, wind, geothermal, waves, tides. These are free sources of energy. We don't have to import them. We don't have to use our foreign reserves. And then and industries revolving around these, we can even manufacture these equipment, can give many jobs and use the talent of our scientists and engineers who now have to go abroad to um, to use their skills and knowledge. Well, good news for air quality. This is the bike lanes in Metro Manila. The pandemic. This is one of the upsides of the pandemic because public transportation was difficult and many had to acquire bikes. I hope it continues. What I really find as good news is that the Philippine Church has responded positively, very positively, to the Laudato Si encyclical of Pope Francis. We have the GCCM, which you've probably heard of, the Philippine Global Climate Change Movement. Um, we have the Laudato Si movement. Well, Green Convergence has produced the Season of Creation booklet. And the CBCP has given out a new encyclical. And well, if all parishes and all Catholics really did our part, this would be a big impact on our environment. Let me end with a couple of slides. This is the skyline of Makati, taken from the Antipolo house of a friend. You can see how polluted it is. And this is the picture about 3 weeks into the lockdown. You see, and it greatly emphasizes the fact that it is human activities that have soured our environment, and human decisions can improve it. These photos symbolize what is and what can be. How do we go about reversing the tide of environmental destruction? We have many lessons in this pandemic. I'm sure, though, that in this audience, you are the converted, and we are talking to each other most of the time. And I'm sure most of us, if not all, are doing our part in segregating, recycling, reusing, planting as much as possible, reducing electricity and materials use, turning off bad gadgets, and unplugging. But we have also seen how government actions and decisions impact greatly on the environment. But these decisions of government are often based on the popular will, the popular opinion, the public opinion. And therefore, I think we should give more thought to the need of going beyond our community and increasing the awareness, the understanding, and the concern of our people in caring for our common home. And hopefully, if this paradigm spreads, we might be one day again be the pearl of the Orient Seas. Kaya natin? Thank you for your attention.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Galang, for a comprehensive and insightful presentation. Before I continue, let me introduce myself, your accidental MC today. I am Carlo Garcia of the Environmental Studies Institute of Miriam College. I inherited this advocacy center from Dr. Galang, and I am deeply honored and privileged to be her successor. Big shoes to fill in indeed. Okay, so let's now proceed to the open forum. And we have a total of 101 participants in the room now, and that's 101 questions, I guess. Okay, to participate in the open forum, please use the raise hand button that can be found in the participants button. You may also write your questions in the chat box. May I request that before you ask your questions, you introduce yourself and your organizational affiliation. If you are a student, we would be glad to know your school and your course. Do the same in the chat box. If you are using an alias, please write your real name and organizational affiliation. I would like to request, given that we have 101 participants, make your questions brief and straight to the point. I can see some hands now. And let me begin with Maria Socorro Hernandez. Please unmute your mic, Mom.
Oh, excuse me,
Yes,
Carlo. Yeah, we would like to thank the Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary. Would like to thank Dr. Galang for challenging us to make the Pearl of the Orient Seas great again. I mean, her presentation has given us a lot of hope. We see the richness of our natural resources, and we see that the laws are there. So it's up to each and every person to actually do what he can individually and collectively with other groups, because the Philippines is truly a beautiful paradise. And yes, we have so many riches, we have so many natural resources, and it's really a challenge to keep that for the Philippines and to really make our resources work so that it will be for the benefit of the entire Philippine population. So we would like to thank Dr. Nina Galang for the very comprehensive and beautiful presentation that challenges not only the youth, the seniors, but every citizen of the Philippines to really take care of the natural resources of the Philippines and do our part. Thank you, Dr. Galang.
Thank you, Mika.
Okay, may I call on again Miss Maria Socorro Hernandez? And then I'll call Maria Buena Victoria Tenefrancia. That's Becky.
Hi, Dean.
Hi, Dr. Galang. Thank you for that inspiring sharing of the state of the nation as of the latest 12 months. I would like to request everyone to patronize these creation seminars, because I was following the one the other day where there were two young ladies who shared. One lost her parents and brothers and sisters in Yolanda. She was devastated, and yet now she's our champion in Greenpeace in Europe and around the world. Then there's another young lady who's a Filipina who's championing in Taiwan for the Taiwan country about how to do waste segregation. So my challenge now, Dr. Nina, and to Carlo and to everyone in the Maryknoll community, being a Maryknoller myself, class 67 high school and 71, why don't we start taking action? you know, the laws are there, the givens are there, but if we treat each one of us as a seed capable of uh, propagating and multiplying the fruits, and nobody needs to be hungry. I am a proponent of Bahay Kubo. I founded the Galing Foundation of the Philippines, and I support the virgin coconut oil industry as well. If we just start acting, a lot of the students right now are at home doing nothing. If we can harness the energy of everybody, even from kindergarten, there was a Nestle series before that kung ano yung ginagawa ng matanda, yun ang sinusunod ng bata. So if we get whole families moving in their own little communities to plant vegetables on every empty lot, that is what I'm espousing in Bahay Kubo, not monocropping, but take 6 to the 18 vegetables in the song. Nobody should go hungry. So Dr. Nina, I'm behind you. I offer myself as a spokesperson. I can do video cast podcasts from here, from home. As you can see, I'm supposed to be right now in the beach, but actually I'm in my bedroom. Okay. So let's use technology. And thanks to Mita, Sister Teresa Dagdag, and Carlo. I would like the Environmental Institute of Miriam College, or Maryknoll, where I'm from, to take the lead, because I'm with the World Wildlife Fund. I just looked at their website, Philippines. There are a lot of prominent people there. Gigi Montenola, Far Eastern University, former BPI. But they're so high up there. We've got to round up the 110 million Filipinos, even the 10 million that are outside the Philippines. So thank you very much. Let's get our act together and start moving. Thank you.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's a wonderful cry. And knowing Dean, something will happen when she says something. Yes. And that's how Maryknollers are, really. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Dean.
may I call on now Miss Becky? Miss Becky, kindly unmute your mic.
Hello.
Yes, hi. We can hear
Oh,
you.
hi. Okay. Good morning again. I am Becky Tenefrancia, and I am with the Zero Waste Baguio. Uh, Dr. Galang, my question has something to do with what is happening now during our pandemic. We all know that the air has cleared somehow. However, uh, because of the need for us to protect ourselves, there's just so much plastic trash that has been generated because of this pandemic. Now uh, there are some legislators who have been pondering upon uh, well coming up with a or amending our laws to um, to include incineration, or
Mm.
whatever you want to call it, incineration, what are the other terms for that? Pyrolysis, gasification, just so we could so-called get rid of the plastics in our environment. Now, Dr. Galang, I know you are a chemist by heart and an environmentalist by heart as well. So maybe please get your um, your ideas regarding uh, this challenge that we are into.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Becky. Um, really, the way we treat our waste has an impact, so much impact on our health, on our surroundings, on our economy, etc. Okay, with regard to the PPEs, which are many of which are disposable. Number one, those of us who are not in the front lines, and we don't need really the very high quality N95 masks, we can use reusable masks. We can make sure it's thick. Depends on where we go. If we're just going out for a walk in our subdivision and we don't really meet people, it doesn't have to be very thick, but we can make it double layer depending on where we are and where we mingle with people if we do. It's the frontliners who need the high quality and disposable masks. Well, there are certified treaters of infectious waste by, I don't know if there are in Baguio, but this is by microwaving. And so they really, this treatment disinfects the waste. Actually, if we see in the movies, when there are wars and there's a shortage of bandages, they just boil the gauze and use it again. So actually, the bacteria and the viruses are killed by the high temperature. But we don't do that, but at least they are disinfected by microwaving and they can be disposed of in special landfills. For those, for lay people who use disposable masks, if you really did not, you did not get in touch or contact with an infected person, you can treat it as residual waste.
Dr. Galang? I hope I hope you're still with us. Leah, will you please check any technical problem from the end of Dr. Galang?
Yes, sir.
Let's try to reconnect with Dr. Galang as fast as we can.
I think she's logging in, sir. So she's...
She is still with us. Good to know that. Let's just wait for her connection to stabilize.
Yes.
Mita, while waiting, do you have any announcement from the end of MES?
Well, instead of the announcement, I have been getting messages via Facebook. There are priests in Baguio who are watching us via Facebook and not via Zoom. And one of them is Father Vic Monar, who used to be the head of DZWT and DCWR. So the radio stations here, and he said he has, the topic is so, the way it was presented, it's so beautiful, he said, and he is overwhelmed with all the information and excited to use this on the diocesan level. He is now the parish priest of the Lourdes Church. He's now parish priest of the Lourdes Church. So those who are not watching us via Zoom are watching us via Facebook Live. So I will read the messages as they come in.
Okay.
Right, thank you, Carlo. Right now at Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary, we are preparing for the guides for the cosmic journey, and we are preparing our plants for sale to make sure that we are able to propagate more plants. We are also coming up with programs, and we're looking forward to opening up to the general public so that they can be in the sanctuary and enjoy the beauty of nature.
Yeah. I look forward to visiting MES again. I'll call later Miss Becky for a follow-up question, and then I will recognize the question of Adrian Adrian Mabalay, and Angie Alcazar. I'll just read the question from the chat box later once we have Dr. Galang back. Leia, any update?
Carlo.
Oh, hi, Dr. Galang. Welcome.
Yeah, we had a 2-minute brownout. So anyway, I'm using my cell phone now.
Okay, we're glad that you're back. Okay.
Dr. Galang, I would just like to relay the message of one of our diocesan priests. There are priests that are watching us not via Zoom but via Facebook Live, and they are very impressed. They are very impressed, and with your presentation, and they would like to see what they can do on the diocesan level.
Wonderful. Where is this?
This is the parish priest of Kisad, Luacan, Father Vic Monar. He used to be the parish priest of St. Joseph in Pacdal, and he used to head the DCWT and DCWR, the media arm of the diocese.
Great. What can we do to help? Can you see me?
Yes.
Now I can see you, Dr. Gala. Probably Mita, Green Convergence, and the Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary can have an exploratory meeting after this webinar to find out how the two organizations can help each other. This too can have a lot of projects and activities in Baguio City. But going back, Dr. Galang, would you still would like to continue what you were saying earlier?
Excuse me, Carlo?
You were answering the question of Miss Becky.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I think people in the zero waste movement have this paradigm, no, really to reduce the waste, so that we don't have that pressure on our dump sites. But pandemic or not, we do what we can, which is to reduce as much as possible. So if we can use our reusable masks if possible, and then those which, in Iloilo, for example, the PPEs or the whole body garments are already reusable. They make it themselves, so they don't have to keep buying and importing. So it's very high quality, very protective. So we see what we can do, not to reduce our use, recycle if possible, and reuse if possible. Just these are just the tenets of zero waste, and we try in our own individual situations what we can do about it. But incineration is a no-no. Incineration produces toxic dioxins and furans. There's no incineration in the world, according to Jorge Emmanuel, who is an expert. No incineration in the world which does not produce dioxins and furans, which are very toxic. And countries in Europe which have experience using incinerators, many have already left that technology, shifting to zero waste or to solid waste management. And those which are still in this technology are importing waste because since people are turning to solid waste management, they have little waste. And so do you want to import waste from other countries? So it's really a no-brainer. We should not change our rules against incineration, rules which are found in the Clean Air Act and in the Solid Waste Management Act. Let's fight incineration.
Okay, Ms. Becky, you said you have a follow-up question.
Thank you, Dr. Galang, regarding your sentiments. And yes, this really proof that incineration is a no-brainer. However, Dr. Galang, it is a sad situation now with our educational system. We found out there are some textbooks that have included incineration as one way by which we could generate energy,
Oh no.
and yeah, and this has given a misconception to our children, the future generation, who are the ones who are supposed to take care of the environment. So, is there a way by which uh, your group and even the Philippine Network of Educators for the Environment, is there a way by which we could influence the DepEd, the DEX, the CHED in the way they present this technology, which is the incineration that is supposed to so-called help us in generating energy. Earlier, you in your lecture, you showed us that we do have a lot of geothermal plants and even hydro and solar facilities that may be adequate enough to provide for our energy needs. So I really hope that we could influence the educational system to not include any more incineration in their textbooks as one of the means by which we could generate energy. Thank you.
Yes, I think we should unite.
Yeah.
Um, what do you know what particular books these are?
I was told that these are elementary books for science.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, the one who told this to me is a member of the Gaia Global Alliance for Incineration Alternatives, and he was really appalled by this because it was his child who showed it to him that they were taking this up in class.
Oh,
It's a good thing if your parents know this and they could guide you, but then there are some parents who don't know any better, and if not only parents, even the public, there's some who don't know any better because they think that incineration is the easy way out. They think that when we burn our trash, it goes away, but that's contradictory to the second ecological principle, which is nothing goes nowhere. And like what you mentioned, it has incineration also produces the dioxin and the furan, which are really bad for our health, for our environment, not to mention the bottom ash and the fly ash that it will generate. So we really do have a challenge here in educating the public, more so the children. That is
yeah,
just our
definitely.
concern. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know. Someone should really draft a position paper maybe and send it to DepEd, and we can
Mm.
all sign. And
Ah,
maybe we can have the names of those books, but it's more concrete, no? Our advocacy will be more concrete.
yeah. Yeah, let me
Uh,
contact the person and dig up the name of that book, and then, ma'am, we will contact you for whatever advocacies or how we could address this in Congress or with the DepEd. Thank you.
yes, we should. We should. Everyone should be
Yeah,
in on this. Thank
thank
you.
you.
Okay, there's a question in the chat box, and I would like to read the text in full. I'd like Dr. Galang to hear this. This is cute. This is from Adrian Mabalay. I am simultaneously watching this video while I hand wash my daily clothes, taking advantage of the sunny and windy weather. I just would like to ask the implication of the white sanding of Manila Bay. They say it has been long due and long fought for by the environmentalists. But based from what I learned in environmental science under the tutelage of Dr. Galang, oh, he's your student,
Student.
Dr. Galang, any alteration in the environment such as this has a long-term effect from where the sand came from and to where the sand is brought. Angie Alcazar has the same question. Would you like to address this question now?
Yeah, but he has addressed it already.
Okay.
Yeah, he destroyed the mountain in Cebu.
Okay.
And, when all our actions have an impact on the environment, big or small, but we should look at the, the pros and cons in any decision. There are some which are, uh, yes, really okay. For example, when we breathe out, we're breathing out carbon dioxide. Alam nga namang we will stop breathing, right? But so the benefit of producing carbon dioxide in our respiration is essential, is needed, even if it does contribute to global warming. There are some activities which have very little contribution to social or economic in social or economic terms, but very big in environmental impact. And this is one of them. Ang laki ng impact, no? In Cebu, and well, health, sabi ng DOH, dolomite is bad for our lungs. So environmentally, health-wise, and then economically, and then think of the fuel used in transporting so many tons of that sand from Cebu to Manila. And what for? To make that little 1/2 kilometer stretch white? Who benefits from that? Hardly anyone. It's just aesthetic. And then, according to what I know, I don't know if the DNR has some technology which will prevent it. When the waves come in, that will erode. You know, beaches are formed by the interaction of water and land. Where there is a source of sand and it is brought to a place sustainably, continuously, you form a beach naturally. Our white sand beaches are formed because there is some source, some coral reefs in the area, and the wave action brings the fine sand to our shores. And that is how a white sand beach is formed. You don't dump sand on some place and expect it to continuously stay there if there is not that interaction which brings the white sand over. According to the DNR, there is anyway sand there, but this is not white sand. So in after a while, the prediction is it will vanish. It will be washed out to sea. So this is what I'm saying. The environmental destruction is so big for a very tiny, if at all, benefit, aesthetic benefit. That is what we should guide us in any decision we make. What is the cost to the environment and what is the benefit socially, economically? If possible, let us make decisions that are win-win. Will protect the environment, but will improve socio-economic conditions of our people. And for example, our indigenous energy sources are one example. We get so much electricity, but hardly any impact on the environment. I mean, small, there will be some. Zero waste is another win-win framework. We conserve resources, so we don't destroy the environment, but it has tremendous benefit socially, economically. Because there are waste pickers who depend on the segregation, on the recycling, etc. So this is how we should look at our activities when we have to decide between one or this.
Okay, can we still entertain one question? Will you still allow me to do so? I know it's already beyond time, but what do you think? Mita, can I still have that last question in the chat box?
Yes, please, can we have one question before the closing remarks? And
Okay.
perhaps they can request it or send it, yeah, by email. Thank you.
Okay. So this is from Jerome Montemayor. Hi, Jerome.
Hi,
Uh,
Jerome.
Ma'am Nina, what is the prospect of organizing or reorganizing a Philippine Environment Party? Do you see the need for environment champions to directly engage in governance and legislative work?
Yes, there is need, but I don't know who will fill that need, because environmentalists are just sincere people who want to do right by the environment and by our country. They are usually not want to go into politics, where you have, which is, well, sorry to say, usually dirty, where you have to make compromises. But if some person, a good, sincere person, has the personality for it, you have to have that personality, wanting to engage with people all the time and convincing people. Uh, that would be ideal. Jerome, you want to give it a try? We will support you.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Galang, for reminding us that our country has enough to provide the needs of the people. Our country has rich resources. God blessed us with ecosystems that provide the conditions for rich biodiversity to thrive and flourish. But we have destroyed it. Or should I say, they have destroyed it and continue to do so. So the challenge is for all of us to restore the integrity of creation, to defend and protect the environment, and participate in renewing the earth. So before we close, may I ask you to please stay after the closing remarks for a photo op. So please don't go. So may I call on now the president of the Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary, who is now in New York, Maryknoll Missioner Sister Teresa Dagdag. Good evening, Sister. Please go ahead. Sister TD, you can now.
Can you
Hi, sister.
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Yes.
Okay. Nina, thank
Hi,
you very
sister.
much for such a really a comprehensive presentation, and you took your time to explain. So I think I understand more because you were not rushing. Okay. And I
Yeah,
know that
thank you.
it comes from a big heart. I know that you have a lot of experiences that on which you base all of these things. I have attended a summit which was sponsored by Green Convergence, and I was very much impressed by the way you connect with the government. Like DNR was there, other groups, government, non-governmental organizations are there. So you have sown the seeds for a much bigger effort to take care of the environment. I would like to quote your student, at that picnic, who said, "I know there is a God." And that resonates with what Tom Berry said when he says that creation is the primary revelation of God. The
Yes.
scriptures is revelation, but that's secondary. But when we look at nature, we look at creation, we know there is a God. And so it has led us to develop a creation spirituality, spirituality, which Sister Margarita talked about during the first webinar. And because of this, I think that we really need to look at how we have failed God, who has given us this creation, this beautiful, this golden goose that has laid the eggs. And I call it, Laudato Si calls it the ecological sin. We have sinned against nature. We have destroyed creation. We are not respecting it. And Laudato Si is saying it's based on greed, based on negligence, arrogance, that we know everything. We don't even depend on scientific facts. Um, and and so there is more destruction rather than
than restoring the environment. So what do we need to do? I think you have mentioned it. Like Carlo also said, restoring creation to its uh, status as a state in which we can praise God because of the creation. We need environmental justice, right? We also need generational justice. What do we give the younger generation to look at and to appreciate that the older generation has done? And I appreciate the second webinar where the two younger advocates for the environment spoke very passionately about taking care of it. So I listened to Becky. You were talking about like what should we do, Jerome, you, and everybody else. I'm sure who is in this webinar, and I'm looking at how do we then effect a tipping point. All right, in the Philippines we have 110 million people. Those are not all adults, but it tipping point is like about 10%, or even just 1 million people. How do we then increase our effectiveness so that we can reach people? Green Convergence has started. You have started ESI, Environmental Studies Institute. Maryknoll Ecological Sanctuary was founded because of a need to address in the need for education to take care of the environment after the killer earthquake in 1990. So we have the students, we have the Maryknoll sisters, whose General Assembly actually has focused on environmental care, environmental responsibility, environmental ethics since 1990 GA and up to now. We have Catholic Church, the CBCP, the NGOs, and we pride ourselves that we have a majority of Catholics in this country. So what is missing? I suggest it is the connectivity between our faith and the care for the environment. The connectivity, the connection between our spirituality, the responsibility for the environment, you know, with our faith. Now, can we do that? If we can encourage people to look at the care for the environment, uh, really translates itself, is translated based on the ethics that we want to promote. So Nina, you're very strong advocate of this. Carlo, you are, and Mita, the priests who are listening, the sisters who are listening from the Mother House, Sister Rosalie, Sister Margarita, and Marvi, all of us. How do we get together? I mean, the party is one political solution, but we have so many groups now in the Philippines. How do we effect that? That is the challenge, I think, of this webinar. The Dominicans also have a series of webinars on Laudato Si. So can we look at that faith, the faith aspect that helps us to sustain our efforts in order to be a responsible member of the Earth community? Thank you very much, and it's good evening here. I know it's a good day for you over there. Maraming salamat po.
Okay, thank you, Sister TD. Before we have our group photo, we would like to ask your participation in evaluating this seminar, or this webinar rather, so that we can improve our future webinars. The link to the Google form is posted on the chat box. So please help us improve our future webinars by accomplishing the evaluation form. So at this point, we will now
Carlo,
Hi,
may
Miss.
I?
Yes, sure.
Oo. Yeah, I'm glad Sister Teresa talked about the tipping point and the critical mass, which we really should strive for. In fact, I was thinking that can be our pursuit in our core planning for green convergence. Really, we have to hold hands with all these groups, with all our groups, no, to effect some really significant change. I don't know how we're going to do that, but let's keep it in mind and we have to do it. It's the need talaga. So, okay, hopefully we will, this is not the last time we'll be together. Thank you. God bless everyone.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Galang. May I ask you to please turn on your videos for our group photo? You might ask, why are we doing this? Yes, because we are Pinoy. That's the reason why we have this photo up. Leia, will you please help me do this? Let's start with gallery 1. We have 4 galleries.
Okay.
So,
All
Leia,
right.
help.
Face the camera, please. Thank you. Smile. Okay, one more time. One more. Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile. Your cameras, please. Thank you. Okay, smile. Last one on my end. Smile. Okay, good, sir.
Okay, so thank you. Thank you, ESI, MISMO, CMO. Thank you, Leia, Ato, Adi, Louie. Thank you, MES team led by Nita. Hello to all the Baguio people. Thank you, Sister TD, Xavier, Sister Imelda, Sister Nora. Thank you to all the members of the Miriam College community who are here. Shout out to all the students of Miriam College.